Power plants never shut down. Someone is always inside them, even at 3 a.m. Story 1. I'm not superstitious, never have been. But after last Tuesday, I can't look at the West Turbine housing without feeling the cold crawl up my spine. My name's Ray, and I've been a night shift technician at the Bellingham substation for 7 years. Out here, miles from anything but pine trees and coyotes, the only things keeping you company are the hum of transformers and the occasional gust rattling the chain-link fence. You learn the rhythms, the predictable groan of aging metal, the metronomic pulse of cooling fans, the steady blink of status lights. But that night, something was off. It started with an alarm, not the high-pitched screech of an emergency, but a low, gurgling tone, like a voice stuck in a throat. It came from the old control room, Sector 3, where we keep the decommissioned relay panels. I radioed the dispatcher, but he said all systems were green. No alerts came up on his end. Probably a glitch, he said. Check it and log it. So I went. The corridors down there feel tighter than they should. Fluorescent lights flicker on motion, but sometimes there's a half-second delay. That night, the delay was longer. I walked down the hall, my boots echoing, but the sound wasn't right. For a moment, I swear I heard another set of footsteps, just behind me, keeping pace. I turned. Nothing. The control panel was dark, except for one amber light blinking in a pattern I didn't recognize. Not the standard blink code. It pulsed. 2 short, 1 long, pause. Then 3 fast, dead silence for 10 seconds. I pulled out my tablet, tried to pull the log, but the system showed no activity since 2018, when the panel was shut down. That's when the hum changed. It wasn't the usual 60-cycle drone. This was deeper, almost organic, like something was breathing through the wires. I stepped back toward the hall, and the lights went out. Not just in the room, down the whole corridor. Only the emergency strips kicked in, casting everything in that sick green glow. Then I heard it. A slow, metallic scrape from inside the wall, like something dragging itself through conduit. I froze. The sound stopped. I walked fast. Didn't run, because running makes noise. Back toward the main hub. Halfway there, the PA crackled. "Ray?" It was my voice. Flat. Lifeless. "Ray, respond." I didn't answer. The message repeated, still in my voice. "Ray, return to Sector 3. System requires attention." I keyed the radio. "This is Ray. Who the hell is on the PA?" Silence. Then the dispatcher came through. "No one's talking, Ray. It's just you." I made it to the monitoring bay, locked the door, sat there, watching the screens, heart pounding. Everything looked normal. No anomalies, no breaches. At 3:17 a.m., the main feed registered a 0.3-second power surge from the West Turbine. Source unknown. No mechanical fault. No lightning. Just energy from nowhere. I checked the camera feed. Static. All cameras in Sector 3 were down. I didn't go back. Next morning, the day crew found nothing. No sign of tampering. The relay panel was cold, dead. But when I left my shift, I noticed something. My reflection in the dark glass of the security desk monitor, just for a second, wasn't moving when I moved. It was staring back. I handed in my notice yesterday. They can keep the hum, the lights, the silence between the sounds. I won't go back. Not even for double pay. Some things aren't breaking down. Some things are waking up. Story 2. I was the night shift lead at the 1,200 megawatt coal-fired plant just outside town. A place where the walls are concrete, the air smells of oil, and the only company you have for 12 hours is the roar of turbines and the distant clank of the ash-handling conveyors. By the time the sun set, most of the crew had already gone home, leaving just me, Luis, and a rookie named Carla, her first assignment after a month of classroom training. We sat in the control room, a box of banks of gauges that glowed green, amber, red, like a ship's bridge. The hum of the main generators was a constant low-frequency vibration that you learned to feel in your bones. Every 30 minutes, a soft chime reminded us to log temperature, pressure, flow. The rhythm was soothing, the kind of monotony that makes you forget the world outside. At 2:13 a.m., the alarm bell rang, a high-pitched metallic wail that cut through the hum like a scream. I snapped to attention, hands already on the console. The display flashed, SCRAM, reactor trip. The plant had a coal-fueled boiler, not a reactor, but the term was used for any emergency shutdown. I punched the reset and the alarm stopped, the screen flashing, acknowledged, turbine shutdown in progress. Everything seemed normal. The turbines were already in the process of spinning down for scheduled maintenance. "Did you see that?" Carla whispered, eyes wide. "The alarm. It sounded wrong, like it was echoing from somewhere else." I shrugged, still scanning the readouts. "Probably just a false trip. The system can be glitchy." We waited for the turbines to coast to a halt. The plant's massive fans that usually push a steady stream of air through the boiler's furnace fell silent, leaving a vacuumy hush broken only by the occasional drip of water from a leaky pipe. In that sudden quiet, another sound rose, low, irregular, like a metallic thud, coming from the east side of the facility. I glanced at the CCTV feed on the wall. The east wing, where the ash-handling conveyors run, was a maze of steel girders and belt rollers. The camera was static, but the feed showed a vague motion, a shadow flickering across the walkway, then disappearing. I leaned closer. The image was grainy, but I could make out a figure, human-sized, moving in a jerky, disjointed way, as if each step were a separate, delayed video frame. "Carla, check the east door," I ordered, my voice sounding thin in the empty room. "Make sure it's locked." She rose, her boots echoing on the concrete as she walked toward the heavy steel door. The corridor was lit by a dim, flickering fluorescent tube that buzzed in rhythm with the plant's dying turbines. As she approached the door, the alarm on the wall, already silenced, flashed red again, this time with a new message. "Unauthorized entry detected." I ran to the door, heart thudding against my ribs. The heavy steel door was ajar 1 inch, a gap that shouldn't have been there. I pushed it open with a forceful shove. The hallway was empty. The only thing moving was the dust motes, swirling lazily in the weak light. "Carla," I called, voice reverberating off the concrete. No answer. The intercom crackled, a static hiss, then a faint, garbled voice. "Leave. The—" A cold draft swept through the corridor, carrying the metallic scent of coolant and something else. Something sweet, like burnt sugar. The floor beneath me seemed to pulse, as if the very structure of the plant was breathing. I felt a pressure in my ears, a low-frequency vibration that resonated with the same frequency as the generators used to hum. I turned back to the control room, expecting to see the monitors still alive, but the screens were dark, black as night. The only light came from the alarm LEDs, flickering in an erratic pattern that spelled out, in Morse, "Get out." I grabbed my flashlight and ran toward the main exit, the emergency stairs that led to the parking lot. The fire suppression sprinklers above the stairwell burst, spraying a fine mist that obscured the view. In the periphery of the spray, I caught a glimpse of a face, pale, eyes black as the night sky, staring from a cracked window in the plant's outer wall. No one had ever been authorized to be on the roof at night. I burst out onto the parking lot, the cold January air hitting my skin like a slap. The plant's massive silhouette loomed behind me, its windows dark, its doors sealed. My radio crackled with the dispatcher's voice. "All personnel, report status. Who's on site?" I could only whisper, "We're not alone here," before the static swallowed the words and the night reclaimed its silence. Story 3. It started with the shift change. I'm a turbine operator at the Cedar Ridge Hydro Station, deep in the back country of northern Maine. No cell signal, no road access in winter, just a concrete dam, a generator hall the size of a football field, and 5 of us rotating 12-hour shifts through the long, frozen dark. The place groans, always. Water pressure, steel stress, the hum of transformers. It's a language you learn to read, or think you do. My name's Dale. Been here 8 years. I know the rhythms. Last Tuesday night, right after midnight, the auxiliary alarm went off. Low coolant in Unit 3's bearing assembly. Routine. I grabbed my tablet, walked the catwalk above the turbines. The air was cold, thick with oil and damp metal. The generators thudded below me, a steady pulse like sleeping hearts. I checked the coolant panel. Pressure normal. Temperature fine. No leaks. The alarm was wrong. I reset it. 5 minutes later, it went off again. Same reading, same result. I called Ken in control. He said the system logged a spike, but only for 3 seconds. Nothing since. Probably a glitch, he said. Winter messes with the sensors. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. I was walking back when I heard it. Unit 2's governor valve cycling. Not supposed to do that on idle. I stopped. The sound was wrong, like metal teeth grinding, then a sharp clack, then silence, then repeating. 3 cycles. Exactly. I checked Unit 2. No power demand. No command from control. Valve status, closed. I radioed Ken. You seeing valve fluctuations on 2? Static. Then, negative. All stable. I looked at the valve housing. Ice had formed along the base. Unnatural, like it had been sweating cold. I touched it. The metal was warm. That's when the PA crackled. Not Ken's voice. A whisper. Guttural. Like someone speaking through gravel. Check the intake. I froze. Ken? Was that you? Silence. I waited. No response. I called again. Nothing. I started walking toward intake control, 70 yards down a dim, pipelined corridor. Halfway, the emergency lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then stayed on. The intake room was the coldest part of the plant. We monitored debris, water flow, ice buildup. As I reached the door, the handle wouldn't turn. Not locked. Just stuck. I yanked it. Gave. The door groaned open. The room was empty. Gauges normal. But the intake pipe, 3 meters wide, lined with steel grates, was vibrating. A low drone, almost subsonic. Not in the logs. Not possible unless water was moving fast. But we were offline. I stepped closer. Then I saw it. In the great shadow. Something dark, pressed between 2 bars. Not debris. Too symmetrical. Too still. I leaned in. It was a hand. Not a worker's glove. Not a dummy part. A real human hand. Pale. Fingers splayed. Frozen in the ice. I backed up. Slammed the door shut. I radioed Ken. Screamed. Almost. There's a body at the intake. I need backup. Now. He answered fast. Dale, intake's clear. I've got camera feed. No one there. But I saw. Cameras show empty. You sure you're okay? I was shaking. I opened the door again. Nothing. No hand. No ice. Just the gauges. The quiet hum. I went back to the control room. Ken looked at me, concerned. I told him everything. He checked the logs. No alarm on Unit 3 after the first reset. No valve activity on Unit 2. No PA transmission. And Dale, he said quietly, no one's been in the intake room for 2 weeks. I took 2 days off, They sent a team down for diagnostics. Found nothing. But last night, I was on night shift again. And at 12:07 a.m., the alarm went off. Unit 3, low coolant. I didn't move. Because this time I heard breathing over the radio. And the hand on my shoulder wasn't Ken's.